We have had some technical problems.
Ready to go. I'm ready to go. Ready?
Hit it!
31 seconds, and we're going for auto sequence start.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello, and thanks for clicking the play button for Radio Stories Podcast number 1. For the first one here, I wanted to give you an idea of what to expect. For those of you who don't know, my name is Scotty Bud Melvin. That's my radio name. My real name doesn't feature the Bud. I got that nickname around 1989, but more on that probably in another episode, I would imagine. For those of you who are aware of my time on your radio in Kalamazoo, a lot of what you're going to hear with my radio stories will be somewhat familiar. But not everyone, of course, knows my backstory, so I thought I would spend the first podcast here filling in the blanks that led up to this point here in early 2021. I have been a rock radio jock since 1987 in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I prefer to use rock jock and not DJ because I am not a wedding DJ, as many people think I am. I have, however, done pretty much every job you can imagine here in Kalamazoo on the radio. We are market number 188 in the United States. That's right, the 188th largest market in the country. I have hosted a morning show, a sports talk radio show. I've done play-by-play of college and pro teams, high school. I've done commentary, some television. I've been an old-timey radio DJ. I will use the DJ term for what we did in the 80s. I played records when we first started. I've read the news and the weather. I've taken requests. I've done all that stuff. I'm actually glad that I got to do that back in the 80s when there were still records to spin. That was some fun stuff, and we'll talk about that in a few of the radio stories, I'm sure. I started playing radio in my bedroom when I was about 11 or 12, I guess. I took the next step at my high school radio station, Portage Northern High School, and then the next step at Western Michigan University at WIDR, which is their radio station. My first real paying job was at 95.9 WLKM in Three Rivers, and then I moved in 1988 to 107.7 WRKR. I also worked at AM 1360 WKMI, which is the radio station I most listened to when I was a kid. And I am currently the program director and afternoon rock jock at 92.5 WZUU-FM in Kalamazoo. So we're into my 34th year now. I have had a bunch of fun, had a bunch of weird stuff happen over the years. Some shocking things have happened, some disappointing things, and I have met tons of people and helped raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in money and also items and other things for nonprofits around Southwest Michigan. I've been trying to figure out how to chronicle all of this. You know, you get older and you start thinking about stuff like that. And originally I was going to write a book. I had been joking for literally 20 years that I was going to write a book. And I had a bunch of titles picked out. Over the years, if I thought of something I thought was humorous, I would write it down. Here are my top ones that I thought I might use. It was funnier in my head. Is this thing on? Where's Scotty Bud? That comes from something listeners used to say. My years behind a mic. Some of you will get that, some will not. Hi, you're caller 9. And that's what he said. But since not too many people can sit for more than 5 minutes staring at the same thing anymore, there will be no book. Then I thought, well, I'll use my YouTube channel and make some videos of my stories. That's a lot of work, and nobody needs to look at my puss for more than 10 seconds. So since I already had the podcast website, here we are. Plus, I'm really the best when I'm talking into a microphone off the cuff. Anyway, so I'll keep telling stories as long as I'm getting clicks, as long as people are paying attention, and as long as somebody cares. But when the clicks stop, I'll probably be done. So when I'm not on the air and wearing about 8 different hats at WZUU, I do other stuff with my own media company, Scotty Bud Melvin Media, which I started around 2010. And the reason I started it was to have a plan B. And I provided voiceovers mostly for the first couple of years. I provide voiceovers for companies around the world. It's literally an international endeavor. I'm also an FAA licensed drone pilot. I produce photos and videos, mostly for realtors. And I also transfer old media to digital for people. Old videotapes, film, slides, photos. Also audio, cassettes, reels, albums, things like that. I also host another podcast, Southwest Michigan's Fake Radio Show, with my good friends and favorite former radio co-workers, Diane and Steph. So I do manage to keep busy when I'm not on the radio. Oh, I also released a rock documentary in the summer of 2020. It's called The American Rock Festival Firsthand. It is about one of the biggest, and I believe the best, rock concerts ever held in Michigan. It happened May 27, 1984 at Timber Ridge Ski Area north of Kalamazoo. It is available for free on my YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and either search for my name or just search American Rock Festival and you will find it. Just so you know, I have all of my annual planners that I kept since the beginning of my career. So I have every big event that happened, notes from it, and I was going to make each podcast a slick-sounding, well-produced podcast. But instead, I think I'm going to just look at my notes for a little bit, remember a few things, and then push record. That's really my style. Anyway, my goal is to tell stories about things that I have rarely or never talked about in public. Maybe a couple of relatives or close friends have heard some of these stories. And I also hope to keep them under 5 minutes, since I know everybody's attention span is horribly short. So that's the plan. I hope to crank out at least one a week, maybe more. So for Radio Stories Podcast number 2, I think I'm going to cover what a lot of people have asked me about over the years, and that is what happened after I was fired in 2005 from the morning show I co-hosted for about 15 years and that I helped build. I was off the air for about 8 months, but I wasn't just lying around all day getting fat. I was already fat. Anyway, that's coming up next time. So if you want to send me any feedback or ask any questions, hit me up. I'm available about 100 different ways. My main email is scotty@scottybud.com, and the podcast is available at the website and also on iTunes. I will put that link in my social media pages when a new podcast is up. So Facebook, Instagram, probably MeWe, and Parler as well. I quit Twitter in 2020. There was way too much hate there. So thanks for listening. I will catch you next time. Meanwhile, you can find me on your radio, 92.5 WZUU FM every weekday. Thanks. We'll see you next time.